Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Mirabelle and you're welcome to the Diary of Mirabelle. So on today's video, sometimes we talk about sickle cell disease, and today is one of those days where we get to talk about sickle cell disease. On today's video, I want us to talk about, I want us to talk about the things, the misconceptions that doctors usually have about people that are living with sickle. When you visit the hospital very often, you would find out that most doctors, I think I would be talking about majorly Nigeria because, well, that's all I know, or that's the only place I know of. Most doctors do not really know how to relate with people living with sickle cell disease, and sometimes they form misconceptions about their patients, and I feel like it is not okay, and I feel like maybe it is out of ignorance or them not knowing so much about sickle cell disease. You would be very shocked at the amount of doctors who do not really have proper knowledge about sickle cell disease. Like, there are so many, and I have met them. It's always disappointing because that is like the one person I want to believe understands my pain, the one person I want to believe gets me better than any other human being, that is apart from someone else who lives with sickle cell disease. But it's quite disappointing when you get to the hospital and the only doctor available is this very insensitive, unempathetic doctor. It's always discouraging. Now let's just move straight to the misconceptions they usually have about us. Number one misconception is that people living with sickle cell disease are drug addicts. Like, how do you even come to that conclusion? Yes, there are some people living with sickle cell disease who are suffering from addiction and what's it called, and extreme dependency on the medication, because medications used for treating sickle cell disease or managing, not treating, because sickle cell disease at the moment does not have a cure. It doesn't have a treatment option. What it has is pain management and maintenance medication. So the medications we use for pain management are usually narcotics or opioids. If you do not know that, Google that. I would not want to explain because, well, I don't want you knowing about something you're not supposed to know about. But Google is your friend if you want to find out. Now, the thing about those kind of medication is that it's easy to get addicted to them. And one thing most doctors don't do when you get to the hospital, they don't wean you off. Like, you give me this medication for 2 weeks straight up. I think sometimes, depending on the pain, 4 hours, 6 hours, or 8 hours interval for like a week or two straight up. And you expect me not to be addicted. So yes, it is your duty as a doctor to educate your patients on the dangers of this thing. That is why I particularly like my pediatrician who handled me when I was much younger. He was so cool to the point that he educated me on the dangers of being addicted to this medication. That is why I can never be addicted. Yes, I am using the word never because I already know the implication. I already know that there are not enough pain management medication for sickle cell disease. So me getting addicted or allowing myself to get addicted to the ones available is actually me being mean to myself, like I am doing myself. I'm not doing any other person, because what that means is that my body is going to build tolerance against this medication, such that when I have a crisis and I really need them to work, they are not going to work. So there is always that knowledge in my subconscious. Even if I were to want to get addicted, it just cannot happen, because I know the implications, I know the consequences. So most doctors fail to educate their patients about these things. That is why sometimes you find that, oh, they get addicted, and if they get addicted, it's not their fault, because they are at first dependent on this medication. Because to be honest, that is all we know for pain management. There is currently no better option that can properly manage our pain than narcotics and opioids. So it is your duty as a doctor, instead of you calling me a drug addict, it is your duty to educate me on the dangers of me being addicted. And if I've spent a long time in the hospital and I've been on this medication for longer periods of time, I expect that you will wean me off it. Don't just let me go and think, oh, she would handle it herself. You have a duty here, and I think you not performing your duty is why you would come and call me an addict to my face. Not that any doctor has actually done that to me personally, but I have heard a lot of stories from people, others who live with sickle cell disease, and it's usually not nice hearing a doctor say that. Now, another misconception that doctors usually have is that they know better than us. Yes, you are the doctor here, but you do not know better than me. You do not know my body more than I know my body. So, yeah, you studied this disease in school. You did the theoretical aspect of it. I am the one living it. I am the one experiencing it. I am the one going through it. I am the one with a first-hand knowledge of it. So I should be in a better position to, tell you about it. So when you are trying to treat me, why don't you allow me educate you on the best medication I feel works better for me. For instance, my doctor used to do this thing where if I get to the hospital, they start treatment with narcotics or opioids. At some point, I might be like, you know what, I want to get off that. I want you to give me normal analgesics, because I can handle my pain better now. I do not need you putting me to sleep to manage my pain or anything like that. And he usually obliges. But you go to some hospitals and you're trying to tell the doctor what works for you, or what you want them to do that you think works better for you, and you're hearing something like, you want to teach me my job. Do you know how many years I've been in this job? I've been in this job for 20 years. I don't care. Yes, you've been in the job for 20 years. I've also been living with sickle cell disease for over 20 years. Who has more experience, please? Tell me, you or me? And this is my body we are talking about. So you need to do something about that. Another misconception they have is that you can just come in, give me an injection, and I don't know what you're injecting me. It is my right as a patient to ask you what you're giving to me, because I need to be able to know. Usually when you're having a crisis at the hospital, a proper hospital is going to ask you, what was the last medication you took, and what was the last thing you ate, what was the last thing you drank. They're going to be asking you questions like that. So if I'm at the hospital and maybe a nurse or a doctor is coming to give me an injection, I am usually like conscious enough to ask you, so I'm sorry, please, what are you giving me now? What is the name of? It's not because I want to go out there and buy this injection myself, or probably inject myself or self-medicate. It is because I want to know, so that if my body start reacting a certain way, I can easily say, oh, I started reacting this way after you gave me this particular injection. So you do not expect me to just keep quiet. And the funny thing is that I learned this thing from my doctor. Like, he taught me this thing that it is my right as a patient. In fact, he says this thing that if I'm sleeping and a doctor or a nurse is about to inject me, I should wake up and ask them what they're giving me. But doctors of these days, they feel like you're challenging the authority. You want to learn, you want to go and buy the injection yourself, you want to inject yourself, or you want to self-medicate. So they don't tell you. It's crazy. This is my body again, and you should actually be listening to me more. Anyways, I don't want this video to be too long. There are a whole lot of misconceptions, and I feel like I'm going to do a part 2 of these misconceptions, but I really don't want this particular video to be too long. That is why I'm going to stop here. Now, if you enjoyed watching this video, please do not watch it alone. Share it with someone living with sickle cell disease. Share it with someone who would find it helpful. And also, if you're someone who doesn't live with sickle cell disease but you have experienced any of this at the hospital, I'd love to know or hear about your experiences. If you have not yet subscribed, this is the time to subscribe. Hit the like button and comment. All right guys, thank you. Bye.